Hi, friends. You are listening to the EntreEd Talk podcast, where we feature amazing educators and entrepreneurs showcasing how you can bring entrepreneurship into the classroom. We believe entrepreneurship is for everyone. I am your host, Toy Hirschman, and I am so glad you chose to join me on this journey. Let's go. All right. Hey, friends. Long time, but welcome back to another episode of the EntreEd Talk podcast. I am always your host, Toy Hirschman, and we are starting a new series today, and I'm excited to kick this off with my new friend, Mark Sotomayor. Am I saying their name correctly, Mark?
Yeah, that's perfect.
Okay, good. So anyway, what we're doing is we are setting ourselves up for our first since the pandemic national annual conference that is coming to you March 12th and 13th in the beautiful city of Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. All the details will be linked in the show notes. But I'm trying to interview all of the presenters. It will be a challenge to do it before the conference because the presenters we have are blowing my mind. We have such an amazing, the experiences are vast, the diversity is vast. It is just an incredible group of speakers this year, and it's going to be a party also. Please, everybody come, shameless self-promotion. So without further ado, I'm going to introduce, again, my new friend, Mark Sotomayor, and he's going to tell you a little bit about his background, his origin, how he got to where he is today, and what he's going to present on as a teaser. So welcome, Mark. I'm so excited to have you today.
I'm happy to be here. Thank you for inviting me. When I saw the submission to begin with, I immediately knew I needed to do something about this. So I bookmarked it. And before the deadline, I was able to put something in. And I'm glad I'm going to be a speaker. I'm going to put my all into it to see people be impacted in this way. Me, really, I'm kind of a man from all over the place. My parents are from Lima, Peru, the capital of Peru, which actually has more population than the rest of Peru combined. They moved to the United States for a better life for their kids right before they had me and my sister, my older sister. And we came into Rhode Island. I've lived all over the United States. My dad, he's a smart man. He's a doctor, a pathologist. He works in the lab. And he always wanted me to be a doctor or a lawyer, as most foreign parents kind of want their kids to be something professional and that's upright in society and everything like that. But moving around the US, I could never see myself really being in a hospital all day, every day. That just didn't seem like what I wanted to do. And I really didn't know what I wanted to do up until we ended up in Butler, Pennsylvania, rural area of north of Pittsburgh. And there, I was a freshman in college, and a friend told me, "Hey, I'm a part of this national competition with future business leaders of America, and I just need someone to present with me. You seem like you're pretty sociable and like you could present. I already have everything done pretty much. I just need you to memorize like half a presentation." And we did that, and that's when I realized I'm gonna do business with my life. I like business. I love business. This is what I'm made for. This is what I'm gonna do. And so then throughout high school, that kept on growing as I went to Pennsylvania Free Enterprise Week, an amazing, very fun week-long scenario where you build a business over a week. It was amazing. I even met people that I'm still in touch with today that are doing great things, creators of different sorts, artists, travelers, international people. And then my senior year of college, I was really graced to be able to be one of the only cohorts for the Entrepreneurship Academy out of Midwestern Intermediate Unit 4 in Butler County Community College. So I would leave high school, my senior year, right after lunch, or really, I think it's before lunch, and then do the rest of the day at a local college, learning from an amazing woman who's influenced a lot of people's lives called Mrs. Kristen Dunn.
And I know Kristen.
Yeah, she's amazing. She's amazing. And she's really the one that got me in touch with EntreEd to begin with. Back when I had my first business years ago, She's like, I think you'd be a great speaker here to these teachers. And I showed up, and it was amazing. It was amazing because they really latched onto the story I was telling them more than I could expect. So it really encouraged me. And so from there, I was actually just gonna go to local party school in Pittsburgh to study business, but I kind of had a change of mind and heart before my freshman year of college, and I ended up going to the only um, college in that area that offered entrepreneurship, and it happened to be like a Christian college. It's called Grove City, up in Grove City, Pennsylvania, and that was really quite the adventure in and of itself, because about half the people there are like homeschooled or come from like a very conservative background. So there was kind of and me, my family's kind of like my sister, for instance, she went off to Philadelphia to live in the city, you know. So we went into opposite kind of ways, environments. But while I was there, I experienced a lot of good things. Studying entrepreneurship, I realized the huge difference between learning entrepreneurship through education and then learning it by putting your money in it. And then it's like you jump into the water and you have to figure out how to swim. So that's what I did my sophomore year. I started an LLC, which I think is a great way to start a business, because something happens to a person whenever they're, I guess, so to speak, their back's up against the wall and they're obligated to do something which they've kind of already began. Once you have your money in it, a lot of times in entrepreneurship education, which I've been a part of a lot, I could say up until now, different competitions, and now I realize a lot of people don't continue with their project that they started in the course. Really, most don't. I was like an outlier, and I think that was
Sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt you. Why do you think that is, that they didn't continue?
because I think at the beginning, their mindset and their intentions are, A, I'm going to do this for a grade, as we're conditioned to do. B, I'm going to do it for some money, because a lot of competitions give you a payout. Or C, if I don't get any traction or whatever up until that point, then it's not going to work. And really deep within themselves, I really don't think, because it's a grandiose thought to really think that you can do it. So some people have amazing ideas. Oh, look, we can get you investors a return, millions of dollars in this year. Of course, it's going to work. Look, the market's huge and they need it. We found this need. And it's great presentations. But really, I guess deep within them, people like to have orderly steps to know how to accomplish things and go about things. And in entrepreneurship, it's like you just figure it out.
Yeah.
You know, so I think that's what stopped a lot of people. Some people did continue it on the side a little bit, but it kind of eventually fizzled out. From everyone that I know, I really can't think of literally a single so a single company that continued from that. But really, I think of it as putting your money in, you know, because then once you ask someone, okay, well, then put this amount of money in or make an LLC. Early on for my business that ended up being pretty successful, that I still own, called Tree Cup Tea. We make bottles of iced tea. I had a friend tell me, hey man, if you're serious about this, you should put some money into it. You should like get an LLC and start like get a bank account and stuff if you're serious about it. And I didn't know enough to say yes or no. But overall, I'm glad I took his advice and I actually did that. And that changed my mindset completely, because then it's like a living organism. You know, once you got your EIN, it's like out there. It's happening. Versus it's still an incubation phase and it hasn't really been birthed.
So what's going on with that business now?
Oh yeah, that's Tree Cup Tea. I still own it. I took a pause on it. I'm planning to restart it. I was up in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania doing it. The cool idea was for every bottle people would buy of this organic, locally brewed, amazing, good recipes, small batch brewed, bottle of tea, we would plant a tree in Haiti. And so we were able to do about 40,000 trees over the 4 years that I ran that. My mom helped me to start it. I also think my mom helped me to start it. So I think people really need like a competitive advantage or someone to help them and encourage them along the way. I think I really realized a lot of times I wouldn't have been able to make it had my mom not been willing to brew some bottles of tea like pretty often. Uh,
Yay,
so
mom.
yeah, yeah, yay, mom. Moms are amazing. So that was my competitive advantage. So with Tree Cup, I really tailor made it. I had a first prototype, and then I had to rebrand completely, which was beneficial, extremely beneficial. Part of my the topic of my speech is how deficiencies or negative things are if you push through, they're really just masking or covering up something that's very beneficial on the other side. And this is with a lot of different things. The only way you can fail is if you stop, but as long as you continue, the hope's still alive, and in sometimes amazing ways. Um, I guess you could call it the world, the universe, the what a creation will bring you the right resources you need. That happened to me so many times where I was like at an end. I didn't know how I could do it, and something came up and allowed me to continue or to grow or to build on the business. Uh, and I think that is the essence of entrepreneurship. So with my business, um, pretty much the reason I had to rebrand was because the name I had was Te Amo, meaning I love you in Spanish, and it was already taken, and I didn't realize it. I didn't check the test trademark database for the names. And then once I did that, I was like, okay, what can it be? And I put out a name our tea business competition. And this one patent attorney out of Zelienople replied, tree cup, like teacup. And I'm like, wow, that's good. And then I'm like, okay, great. He wins, put it out. And then he's like, you know what? If you once you get a brand for this, and immediately once he told me that, I actually had like the image like pop up in my head, like a tree coming out of a teacup, which is what I think the brand is really excellent, which is what the excellent logo is right now. Um, and so then once he won, and I asked him what I should do to trademark it, he's like, I got you, don't worry, I'll cover it. And so that was kind of another amazing thing. The reason I stopped that was because really within myself, kind of like a gut instinct, intuition, whatever you want to call it. Some people call it the still small voice within. Some people call it the universe, your inner self, your spirit. So different people call it different things. But for me, I literally realized within myself that I needed to stop for some reason. And that feeling grew over about a year. And for a year, I kind of didn't listen to it because I had some momentum. I had things going for me. I had like 26,000 units of glass bottles sitting at my house that I had to sell through. I had my mom's expectations. Um, I had, so I didn't stop. And now, 2 years later, I realized why. Now I've been moved to Dallas, Texas. I live in Arlington between Dallas and Fort Worth. And now the vision to restart is definitely there. And I'm going to restart. It's going to be better than ever. And I have like I really have an idea, a more solid base. Because sometimes when we start something when we're younger and it's a big idea, sometimes we got to mature into it. And it'd be nice. I think a lot of adults and grown-ups kind of would reason that, hey, they're able to do it. All they need to do is this, this, this. If they do it, then they can do it. They have all the time. But then we kind of forget that all the little things that we need to grow in, um, like the life we really have to live out. So I'm going to restart this business, but it's going to be in the South. See, it's a tea business, and selling it up in the North, it was very seasonal. But in the South, oh my gosh, I can't believe how much iced tea people drink.
Oh, iced tea, sweet tea, baby, in the South.
Yeah.
That's awesome. So tell me about your book and then tell us about what you're going to talk about at the conference.
Yeah, I felt called to be an author since about September of 2020. That was when a lot of people were figuring out a lot of things about like their own life and, with a lot of tragedy all over the world and everything. And me, that was kind of like my year of awakening for me. I was 22 and I was kind of in my personal life at my end of what I could do to help myself in different, I guess, internal ways in my mind, what I wanted to do. And so anyway, it was at that time that I realized I'm a writer. This is something that I'm going to hint at in the speech in March, is that your giftings has to do, or the things you do best with the least amount of effort. Uh, Recognizing those and identifying those is key, because um, that has the opportunity and the ability to really make you great at something. So I realized that your greatest gifts are masked in what might seem like to yourself or to other people your greatest deficiencies. Because really, your gift is the way you look at the world. And everyone looks at the world a little bit differently, which allows them to engage and interact with it. See, sometimes your gift might look like you kind of having a critical eye with maybe certain people or certain things or certain roles. Like you look at a speech, I don't know, it could be, it was all right, but it maybe should be like that, because you can see it, because you kind of have a vision for it. And really, that's your gift. So sometimes a lot of people never find their gift, much less walk in it or utilize it as a part of their, say, career, or build their life around it, because it's masked in something we really don't understand and we think is something negative. So for me, the way I looked at the world and the way I described things, I would always kind of like go on and like I sometimes my tangents in conversation have tangents, and I would just go, because I'm kind of a
I'm the same
I'm a
way.
yeah, I'm a deep thinker, and I think about things differently. I've been all over. I traveled to 15 countries. Um, like I think about things with a different scope than local people, or than anyone else, I guess. So I realized my writing is my gift, but just because something's your gift doesn't mean you don't have to unravel and grow in that skill. In fact, you should do yourself the most justice by unraveling it and growing in that skill like the max you possibly can. So ever since September of 2020, I've been writing, writing, writing. And my first book is called The Chronicles of Jorge, which I still haven't fully finished. It's not out. Once I was rereading and editing, I was like, wow, this is terrible. Like I'm gonna have to. Well, parts of it were terrible, parts of it were brilliant, but see, the mix of it all together is growing in the skill of novel writing and all that. And so I'm like, I'm gonna have to rewrite this completely. Some parts are in the third tense, some parts are present tense, some parts are past tense. It's like, but then I wrote another one, um, which is called Michael Demon Slayer, which is kind of like an adventure thing. And I read that and I'm like, it's too much this, it's too much this, and I let that aside. And then I wrote another one called Lucas the Seer, and then I even wrote another one called The Rebirth of Paul Inglewood. And I wrote all these, and rereading it, I realized, okay, well, I'm getting a little bit better. I'm getting a little bit better. And then there was advice from a prominent writer I listened to on YouTube. His name's Jerry Jenkins. He wrote the Left Behind series. And his son actually, his son made the popular Christian series called The Chosen. So it's kind of cool how they're related. But anyway, I was listening to him and he said, you know what? For you new writers, trying to start by writing a book is a little bit like a movie director trying to start with a whole 2 hour long movie. What you should do is start with a short story. And I heard that years ago and I brushed it off. I was like, nah, I'm going to do this. I'm called to do this. But now, as I started to rewrite the first book, it literally, I don't know how, maybe I was feeling a certain way that day, but it transformed into a book kind of about this book really has nothing to do with my business life, but see, writing is a great business because it's free. Technically, it's free to write, and you can make a lot of money off of it. Like you can publish on KDP, Amazon Kindle Direct Publishing for free, and immediately start getting a cut. So this book for me, it's about like a dude that just graduates high school and he wants to get with the girl of his dreams. And he really doesn't see fit in any way. He's kind of insecure. And so he goes to his wife, which like dabbles in all this spiritual stuff. And she's it's called a curandera, and the book's name is Simon and the Curandera. And it's kind of like a Mexican word for sorceress or like a shaman, like an enchanter. And so then he's like, what do I got to do to get her to love me? And it's his aunt, actually, the sorceress type girl. And then she's like, well, if you get me this, get me this, and get me this, I'll be able to make you happy. And so he goes out and he gets it, he brings it back. And she's like, well, you didn't get me this one thing, which is the money. And then he's like, oh, yeah, I don't have the money right now. And then she's like, I won't be able to do it. And then he's like, well, what if I make a deal with like my soul? And so then she's like, you don't want to do that. And he's like, no, I do. And so point is, he makes a deal with his soul. And after that, he goes through the consequences and repercussions of pretty much making a deal spiritually with some kind of dark things, and all these bad things happen up until the end where he breaks it. Spoiler alert, he breaks it with a greater power, and then he has to still deal with the consequences, but he's free in other regards. So that's the short story.
That's great. Well, that's exciting, and I'm sure that lots of people would love I went through the process as well, and love to know how you do things, because I did a different kind of publishing and it cost me money, but how you do things through Kindle Direct Publishing, and that's an amazing thing that's available to everybody these days, which didn't used to be. So tell us a little bit, before we go, tell us a little bit about your presentation, because you have got so many things to talk about, but tell us a little bit about your presentation and what folks might walk away with, and then we will look forward to seeing you at the conference.
Yeah, I would like, thank you. I would like the mystery of the meaning of life and the purpose of one's life to kind of be laid bare in front of someone, for them to really think. Because I realized that your giftings, your purpose, what you're called to do, your calling, some people say, your destiny, and the people placed around you, certain people placed around you, and the way you think, all those are connected. And if you see them as connected, then really your calling and your purpose in this life can be less of a mystery. And you can know really what's actually going to fulfill you. Because when we're walking in destiny, or in our calling and our purpose and our gifting, helping the people we're supposed to help, being in the right geographic location is a huge thing. When we're doing that, then we really don't feel the need for all these side things, which we sometimes use to satisfy ourselves, which don't really fill us. But really walking in what you're meant to do, because your giftings and your callings allow you, so only you can do it, that will help to form your identity. Your identity also is a major player in your purpose, gifting, calling. They're all connected. So many people really don't realize their identity. All sorts of people really can't tell it, because we wrap our identity into kind of our career, what we do, or who we know or things like that, kind of more external things. When really it has to do with who you're made to be and what you're made to do. Um, so connecting all those pieces, I don't fully know how I'm going to do it, but I know I have a vision and I'll find a way to put it on there.
That's
So
a heavy lift. I mean, like I'm sitting here going, well, who am I?
who am I?
Serious.
Well, yeah,
So
it's amazing. It's amazing.
this is gonna be compelling. So this is awesome, Mark. I wanted to keep these intentionally a little bit on the shorter side, so because I can get everybody, I want to get all the presenters a chance to talk on the podcast. But thank you so much. I am just excited about hearing your presentation, and I'm just excited to meet you IRL. This is cool. Like we don't do this anymore, right?
Right.
Awesome, awesome. Well, just so tell everybody where they can find out more about you before we go, and then I'll explain after we stop recording all the things that I'm going to send to you.
Yeah, I have a website called marksotomayor.com. That's my blog post. Actually, my whole book, chapter by chapter, is out on there for free. And so you can kind of see, that's kind of like the beta version, but it's pretty much the finished version. I just have to redo the cover. It kind of looks a little bit antiquated. The design I used, I'm going to redo it. That's the main thing. I'm also on LinkedIn, Mark Sotomayor. You can see I have a lot more experiences than I listed today. Like I've been a chef at the Atlanta Braves Stadium. I was selling solar panels in Fresno, California. There was even a time I actually lived under a bridge with this homeless dude in Dallas, Texas, in Deep Ellum for like 3 months just to see what it was like.
Goodness.
And that was one of the most amazing experiences of my life. It ended up with me becoming a salad cook and being a vegan for like months. Like about 2 weeks into living under a bridge, I needed a job, and this one salad restaurant hired me, and it was an amazing experience. I would work a lot, but I would have everything I needed, as much healthy food and then I was able to service the homeless after my shifts with a ton of free food that we would throw away anyway. That was one of my greatest experiences. And really, with me, my whole thing is I want to be able to teach people based on what I've understood and learned. So I really now at this point I really want to pursue success in the business realm, like financially, so that I can teach other people that. And it's been a journey, but now I feel ready to hit the ground running on that. So I have a business idea that works into tree cup tea, having to do with logistics. So I'm going to get into the logistical space, planting trees, delivering things, and offsetting my carbon emissions. So I'll probably put more about that on my website too.
Awesome. Well, I am sure everybody is over the moon to meet you and hear what you have to say. So this is awesome. Well, thank you for being on today. I'm really appreciated and great to meet you. Can't wait to see what you have to say at the conference.
Thank you, Toy. It was a pleasure. I appreciate it.
Thanks, Mark.